Now, prosecutors have been criticised for providing a poor service to bereaved families whose relatives were killed in road accidents. A joint study by the Crown Prosecution and police watchdogs finds that official guidance was often ignored and a lack of specialist training led to 1 in 10 cases collapsing. It calls for specialist prosecutors to be appointed. The report found the quality of CPS decision-making was not good enough in more than half of all cases reviewed. Communications between the CPS and bereaved families was judged to be poor in 75% of cases, and in over 40% of cases the prosecutor failed to see out the case to the end. Let's talk now to Martin Porter QC, specialist personal injury barrister. Thanks for being with us. Are these figures that you recognise in terms of dissatisfaction with the way these cases are handled?
Yes, Ben, well, my particular area of expertise is to deal with cycling cases, and I've come across very many bereaved families whose loved one has been killed whilst out cycling, and I can say that just about universally there is frustration and disappointment about the way in which a prosecution has been handled or not happened, or the outcome of that. So this report is very welcome in highlighting some of the difficulties that frequently arise. And just to isolate one example, one striking example is that in a full 2/3 of cases, victims' rights under the Victims' Right to Review are not honoured. So if there's an adverse decision, adverse to the interests of a victim, in 2/3 of cases, that has not been adequately
But what's
dealt
the
with.
key to making it better, to making prosecutions more efficient?
Well, the report does repeat a recommendation that's been made in the past that one should look for specialist prosecutors to deal with these very sensitive cases, and they should be dealt with the same importance as any other homicide report. I must say that very frequently people, particularly vulnerable road users, cyclists and to some extent pedestrians, will say that if you want to get away with killing somebody, do it behind the wheel of a car and you can do it with impunity.
But what is going wrong? Is it that people are being prosecuted with the wrong charge? Is it that the prosecutors are not charging people with the right thing, or what's going wrong?
That is definitely a large element of it. Parliament introduced a new charge some years ago, causing death by careless driving, which objectively speaking is a good thing because it catches potentially more criminals who would otherwise get away with virtual impunity or with impunity. But the difficulty is that the charging standards have become less ambitious. So a lot of the cases that would once have been charged as causing death by dangerous driving are now charged as causing death by careless driving. So we find the number of cases of causing death by dangerous driving is decreasing, has decreased since the introduction of the lesser charge. But there are some, I would want to leap to the defence of some prosecutors. I think some of the criticisms in this joint report are a little unfair. There's one prosecutor, the area and hence the prosecutor has not been identified, who took the decision to advise his police force that they should refer all fatal cases to him where there was a surviving participant, if you like, in the impact, in the collision. And that seems very sensible. So there's a second view in relation to all these cases where there's been a fatal outcome. But the inspectors chose to criticise that, and the inspectors have criticised prosecutors for, in four cases. 4 cases of the 72 they looked at were cases where pedestrians had been run down at night. And the inspectors said, well, it's unrealistic to expect car drivers to see pedestrians at night. So there are elements there where I feel that the inspectors are almost less ambitious than the police and the CPS, if that were possible.
All right, well, thank you so much for your views. That's Martin Porter QC, specialist personal injury barrister. Thank you so much.
Thank you.